It looks like Netflix might finally starting to be learning some lessons from their numerous anime to live action adaptations. Specifically, we were getting some comments from One Piece executive producer Marty Adelstein that they learned a very specific lesson from Cowboy Bebop, and that is what we learned is that the fans are expecting you to be true to the source material. It's like, no shit, Sherlock, right? But let's get into this here. Allison, who served as an executive producer on both anime adaptations and whose Tomorrow Studios produced them, opened up about this his current mindset during a recent One Piece-centric interview given to Variety's Jennifer Moss. You can see it here, but we make it a little bit easier here. Reflecting on the total and absolute failure that was Netflix's Cowboy Bebop, Allison admitted what we learned is the fans are expecting you to be true to the source material. As we read the comments in response to Cowboy Bebop, it was always, well, they didn't do this character the same as this and that. It really taught us a lot of what we needed to do with this one. I mean, this is what we've been saying for years. Stay true to the source material if you are going to be doing a live action adaptation. That's what my criticisms have been for a lot of the Marvel stuff, a lot of the DC stuff, a lot of Wheel of Time, Lord of the Rings of Power show. These are the criticisms that we have been having for years now that Hollywood executives like Marty Adelson seemed to be ignoring. He does now seem to, at least he's saying the right things. Whether or not we get that in the actual final product will be, we'll have to find out, right? But it does seem to be that the message is finally hitting home after years of us telling them what we want, and they're now finally losing lots of money on a lot of these productions. So they have to be very careful on how they're making these films, what they're doing, TV shows, and because they need that return on investment because they're not getting it as much anymore. We're seeing films lose money. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Solo, A Star Wars Story lost money. I think Rings of Power saw massive declines. Like 63% of the audience didn't return after the first episode. Wheel of Time also saw significant declines as well. Death Note widely panned. Cowboy Bebop canceled after a single season. So you do have various examples of people tuning out and moving away from projects that do not actually stay faithful to the source material. But let's go on here. According to studio president Becky Clements, after facing the cold hard truth that their hubris in attempting to westernize Cowboy Bebop was responsible for the series' abysmal reception, Clement said, it became everyone's goal to make sure that when you looked at One Piece, you thought this was a live-action version of the manga that just felt like another feather in the legacy of Oda, that people just get to see it in another genre, but still have the same reaction and feeling towards the narrative. Like, seriously, we've been saying this for years. How many times have we been saying this? I've specifically been saying this about DC and Marvel. You have source material, direct adapted, and I think this is what DC was actually pretty good at with Zack Snyder. Watchmen, 300, he was actually doing some pretty good direct adaptations. Obviously, he took some creative license towards the end of Watchmen, replacing the giant squid monster with Dr. Manhattan, but I actually think that kind of worked out. But you still had that; it was still there, right? You still had this giant entity coming in, blowing things up. It really worked, and I think that's why BVS was had the problems that it had, because it should have been a Dark Knight Returns adaptation instead of doing some new story. Following up in the wake of Man of Steel and trying to pit them together. It's like, just do Dark Knight Returns. It's what you wanted to do in the first place. It's clearly what you wanted to do. Do that. That's what DC should be doing. I think that's what Marvel should be doing as well. Adapt your stories. You have really good storylines that you have chosen not to do. We even have we've got Quentin Tarantino out here telling the James Bond producers that they should be doing the same thing. Adapt the actual Ian Fleming novels for your next films, because no one's actually done that before. Chuck Dixon talks about this all the time. One of the main reasons why these movies suck is because they have strayed away from the source material. And I think they're right. They're right. And these people seem to be finally learning this. So, and according to the One Piece set photos and trailers released thus far, it does seem that Tomorrow Studios has truly put their money where their mouth is. Spencer saying this when it came to the Straw Hat Pirates. While some elements of the series admittedly give off cosplayers recreating their favorite scenes for YouTube vibe, let's be honest, Arlong looks exceptionally wonky. The fact that a number of scenes thus far can be matched one-to-one with the original manga inspires far more hope in the series' faithfulness than possibly anything else could. I think he's pretty right there. And then we also have the fact that they actually included Oda into the production. He seemingly had the way he could actually veto a lot of things that was going on. He released a statement earlier this year saying, "Considering my expected lifespan, I believe this is my last chance to bring One Piece to the entire world. If we're going to do it, I want to be able to supervise things while I'm still active. That's why I agreed to the live-action adaptation of One Piece back in 2016. Since then, Netflix has committed enormous resources to the production. It was announced that the show will launch in 2023, but they promised that we won't launch it until I'm satisfied." Admitting there that he does indeed have veto authority. And then to that end, in a separate message penned in celebration of Netflix's One Piece releasing its first official trailer, he assured fans that there were no compromises on this show. After the launch, I'm sure I'll hear about some people pointing out how this character is missing or that scene is omitted or this bit is different from the manga, but I'm sure they'll come from a place of love, so I intend to enjoy even those comments. The story will span 8 episodes and take us up through you-know-where. He then revealed even after the shoot was over, there were numerous scenes the production agreed to reshoot because I felt they weren't good enough to put out into the world. So he is admitting that they made stuff that was not up to snuff, and he was like, we got to go redo this and make it better. So that is also good news. So there is a lot of optimism around this. People are saying the right things. Whether or not that translates into good execution is another story. We will have to find out. But it is good to see that it does seem that they're actually saying the right things now, rather than the Cowboy Bebop route where you literally had them insulting us and deriding us for taking issue with their creative license with the source material, I guess, to put it nicely. But let me know what you think about this. Leave a comment below. If you like videos like this, please hit that like and subscribe button and click that bell for notifications so you don't miss any future videos here at Bounding Into Comics.
Subscribe for more.